So I don't get to see Black Panther for 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks till that movie comes out. I think it's like, Valentine's Day. I'm hyped for it. The reactions came out and everyone's losing their mind. For good and bad reasons, in my opinion. So bad reasons that they're losing their mind is everyone's freaking out because it's a black superhero lead. But may I point out, because I've heard several times, this is the first time ever there's a black superhero lead. That's not true. It wasn't true if Wonder Woman needed that as the first ever female superhero lead. There was a movie called Elektra. Even though it was garbage, that was a female superhero lead. But everyone kept saying this is the first time it's ever been done and it's breaking new ground. It isn't. Now, only with Elektra, there's also was a movie called Catwoman, which is garbage. But it was a black woman superhero lead. And then in, I think, the 80s, there was Supergirl, another woman lead. So it wasn't breaking new ground when it came out. It was just the first one that was good. Now this one, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. The first time ever, there's a black superhero lead. There's a movie called Steel with Shaq. It came out in the 90s. It's garbage. There's a movie called Spawn with Michael Jai White, but black superhero lead. And Spawn is literally black, and the actor's black as well. And 3 movies that I like quite a bit. I like all 3 of them. They're definitely in descending order. But Blade, which is the best one. Blade 2, which is the fan favorite one. And Blade Trinity, which I still like. Black superhero leads. And Luke Cage is also a TV show, successful black superhero lead. And there's a show out now, Black Lightning, black superhero lead. This has happened multiple times. I'm sure there's more that I can't even think of right now. So the idea that he's the first ever, that is completely untrue. But, so that's the bad reasons. Everyone's doing their whole LA's crime because they're like, black guy. I've never seen one before in the lead role. Yeah, people in LA are worse. What is interesting is it's an entire black cast, which is also untrue because I'm pretty sure there are white people in this movie. But it's mostly a black cast, which is an interesting aspect of it. They are in Africa, so they should have a mostly, if not all, black cast. The good things that people are freaking out that I'm hearing for someone who's anticipating the movie, it's on I think it's my number 5 on my most anticipated list on my Instagram, is the villain. They said the villain, Killmonger, is a great villain, which is great to hear. Because Loki's good. Loki's great. Vulture is great. From Spider-Man Homecoming. Who else is good? I enjoyed Cate Blanchett in Thor Ragnarok. I enjoyed Red Skull. Either way, for the most part, when I was the villains in these movies are more plot devices, just a means to get the heroes to accomplish whatever their goal is and end up with some freaking infinity. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm also just glad to hear that's great. And I heard the score is good. And it looks cool. It's a very cool looking movie. I hope it's not really CGI. Because part of me feels like it's going to be really CGI. I hope Ryan Coogler does really good fight scenes that aren't CGI. Because, Creed, he can do really good fight scenes. But, what else? So I'm hyped for this movie. LA's reactions are always a mixed bag for me. They're very, very whiny and politically correct about everything. But I am hyped about this movie. Black Panther was one of the coolest aspects of Civil War. So, I cannot wait for it. And, oh my god, I don't know if any of you guys are on YouTube. There's this guy named John Campia. He got to a fight with this guy named Jay Washington on Twitter. Because someone wrote to him, he puts his viewer questions on his YouTube. And someone said, is this just an ad for Avengers Infinity War? And then the Jay Washington guy thought that was racist, that he was calling it an ad, and they ended up in a whole Twitter fight, which is completely wrong. Someone asked him the question. But that is interesting, but I don't think it's an ad whatsoever. I don't think it's because it's 10 weeks apart. I think it's more of they had to fit this in. Because it was a movie that they wanted to do, but I feel like just time frame wise, this just had to come out when it had to come out. They had to get it in before Infinity War, not after, so that's why it's coming out only a 10-week difference. Anyways, those are my thoughts on Black Panther. I cannot wait for the movie to come out. Oh, I hope it's great. I hope it's one of my favorites. Because Thor Ragnarok is one of my favorites. And that was the last movie they did, and that was fantastic. Also, Ant-Man and the Wasp. That trailer looks great. I think Ant-Man's okay, but I'm hyped for the sequel.